Gary, if there's anybody else that want to speak that hadn't filled out a form, you might want to fill it out. I don't know if they told you.
Miss Barrett was at the front trying.
Well, I saw it there, but I didn't know if they told you.
All right. Call Parish School Board meeting to come to order. Randy, will you lead us in prayer and vote in the pledge?
Dear Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to meet together here this evening. Lord, bless each and every board member here. Bless our teachers. Bless our administrators. Bless the community that we live in, Lord. But most of all, bless these children. And give us the wisdom and understanding to do what's right for them. To lift them and all of us up. In your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Randy Renz.
Here.
Bo Barton.
here.
Melinda Ballard. Here. Baron Glass.
Here.
Maria Bass. Here. Gary Castles.
Here.
Johnny Felton. Here.
All right. Item A is the executive committee report.
Mr. Castle, before we go to item A, can you tell us what the protocol is tonight?
Yes, when we get to the restructuring plan, we're gonna open up the cards and let everyone speak that filled that one out, and then the board will vote, and anybody wants to speak, you have 3 minutes to speak, and the board will vote, and they can say whatever they want to. All right, Randy?
All the checks were in order. Went through all the checks. All the checks were in order. Sales taxes are up again this month by 6.88%, a little over 13,000 from the year before last. And I've said this before, it might be due to inflation more than anything else. But for the year, we're up 3.93%, or around 200,000 for the year. That's it.
All right, thank you, Randy. All right, item B is approved March 16th, 2023 meeting minutes and April 3rd, 2023 athletic and transportation committee meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the March 16th meeting minutes and the April 3rd athletic and transportation.
All right, all in favor? All right. Item C is recognize Amber Ayers as Taylor & Sons Employee of the Month, Mr. Scott Walker. Here.
Good evening. I told Amber she didn't realize there were this many people going to be here to recognize her. Look, come on up here, Amber. I'm Scott with Taylor & Sons, and we're proud to partner with you guys to recognize your Employee of the Month. And for Amber, I've got a little bit of information here. I'm going to tell you that hard working is a common thread that runs through all the comments submitted about Amber. As everyone here knows, no one goes into the paraprofessional field to strike it rich. It's a higher calling than money, and being a para is hard work and long hours. But Amber attacks her daily duties with enthusiasm and a determination to help all she comes into contact with. Another co-worker said, Amber is always willing to help where needed and does not complain at all. She always has a great attitude and is a very hard worker. Another one said, Miss Amber is one of the hardest working people at our school. She goes above and beyond to meet all of her students' needs, and she never bats an eye when you ask for a hand. And then finally, her principal, Ms. Smith, said, Amber has many responsibilities, but her main job is intervention with students in grades 3 through 5 on literacy skills. She is hardworking and jumps in and helps wherever needed, from subbing a class to working the concession stand every day and helping with school events. She is considered a friend to everyone at Grayson Elementary and goes over and beyond to help anyone. And so it is my pleasure to recognize Ms. Amber Ayers, the Employee of the Month.
Thank you all so much. It's such an honor to be a part of this amazing community and team. So thank y'all. Thank you.
All right. Item D is consider restructuring plan for elementary schools. And the first card I got in front of me, I don't know who signed it first, but it's Barbara Hall. You
Hang
have,
on.
Gary, tonight, the board job is to listen and deliberate. The superintendent has already put forward the plan. We don't need to hear anything other than from the people, and we deliberate on this and we vote. We don't need anything else added to this.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that everybody understands, this is not a regular meeting tonight. Okay, that's the reason why I asked to establish the protocol, because the superintendent has done what she needed to do.
right,
Okay, it's time for us to do what we need to do amongst ourselves.
all right. Barbara?
Hello. I just wanted to speak to the board tonight, just for a few minutes. As y'all know, I've been part of the school system. I hate to say this, but it's 50-something years. Because I have come through the school system as a student. I raised 2 children in the school system, and I served as a board member, and I teach and I substitute. I have done some of all of it. And that being said, when this restructuring came about, I talked to most all board members. I tried to get everybody's point of view and all the pros and all the cons. And I want to say that for our students, I want to speak for the students. My kids, they have parents who are going to speak for them. But let me speak to you board members, for students who have people who can speak for them. For Sally and Jane, whose parents moved from school to school, and that baby is drugged from place to place and may miss something and is left out in the gap. I believe that this program is going to fill that position for those babies. You know, I mean, my kids are blessed. They have parents who are going to speak for them, just as many of you do, because they wouldn't be here. So what I want to speak to you on is those kids who are falling in the gap because they don't have mom and daddy. Mom and daddy may be struggling with addiction, or mom and daddy may be struggling with rent. So they're moving from Columbia Elementary to Grayson Elementary within a 9-week period. I mean, if you're a teacher, most of you know that. If you're a principal, you've seen it, you know. And so those babies, this program will help those babies, I believe. I believe that we can see some growth in them. You know, I believe that we will give them a fair chance. As fair a chance as somebody who has a stable home, you know, who has a stable environment. So first I want to speak to you on fair behalf, you know, because I believe every child deserves a fair chance, not just my kid, not just the kid who may be, but every one of our babies deserve this fair chance and fair education. Speaking to you on how I feel about, I have grandbabies who are in Baton Rouge, and they go through this same type system where their grade level appropriate. They have some amazing programs. They get STEM programs early on. They get all these great things that I see programs that they're available to them because it's age appropriate. So I'm hoping that you guys will give some conscientiousness to those things too. Because when I think about, I'm going to give you this analogy. I told somebody that this week. When I started driving, this is going to date myself. When I started driving, I learned to drive on a standard vehicle, an old stick shift standard. I mean, that's how I learned to drive. And then my daddy, we got uptown and we got, you know, a transmission, and all you had to do was put it in drive. And then now we got keys. You know, we're all fancy, and guess what? Now we have push buttons. How many of you are still driving the same car? I ask you, just try to let's move our kids forward. My time's up. Just bear yourself up now.
What she said. Everything she said, again, the picture's always painted perfect. Nobody has said how this is going to increase the test score, how it's going to educate the kids, which I'm assuming was the ultimate goal.
All right, next person is Krista Drummond.
You have to come to a certain spot.
All right. My name is Krista Drummond. I graduated from Caldwell High School in 2014. I began teaching in Caldwell in 2018. My first year, I taught second grade at Union Central. That year, my partner teacher had taught second grade only 1 year and was still finding her footing herself. She helped me tremendously that year, but we learned a lot together. My second year teaching, I was asked to go to a testing grade to third grade math and science, and my partner teacher taught ELA and social studies, so she was not able to give me much guidance in my content area. Don't get me wrong, I had a ton of supportive people who tried to show me the ropes and assist me, but none of them were in the same grade level or content as me. Anytime someone tried to assist me, I always had the eerie feeling that it took time from what they could be doing in their own content and grade level. After my first year teaching third grade math and science, I was now considered a veteran at that point. Over my 5 years of teaching, I've helped mentor 3 fourth grade math teachers, 2 fifth grade math teachers, and I've had 2 ULM resident teachers in my own classroom. While I love to help mentor and help my colleagues, many times it was difficult for me to give them much guidance due to them teaching different contents than me and different age students that have a whole different set of standards. This in return leaves the veteran teachers feeling drained and new teachers feeling lost or like a burden. I know of several other teachers that I work with currently that after only 1 year of teaching a content, they are now mentors to other teachers. I truly believe that if we had all the teachers for each content and grade level working hand in hand each day, the burnout rate for teachers would be significantly less and students would have a wonderful learning experience because their teachers would be collaborating daily to create beautiful lessons with one another without feeling like they are inconveniencing someone in a whole different grade band or content area. I would never take back any of the opportunities that I've had to help colleagues because it's grown my knowledge so much in many different grade levels. But I can't imagine the difference that it would have made to put all of my efforts over the years into just my own content and grade band. This school year, I've been the only third grade teacher at Union Central, and if parents wanted another option for a different teacher, I'm all they had. I've had up to 26 students in my class at a time. I'm just nervous, I'm not crying. I would never take back any of these sacrifices that I've made for my students and for my colleagues because they've all made me a better teacher. But is it really worth burning out our good teachers when we have a solution that seems like a paradise? Happier teachers directly affect a happier learning experience for our students. That's it.
What's your name?
Krista Drummond.
You say you had 26 students at your school.
At one time I did, not right now, but not right now. We have like 22, I
Do
believe.
you know why you have that amount of kids in your classroom?
She's the only third grade.
Yeah, I'm the only third grade teacher there.
You're the only third grade teacher.
Yeah.
And we got three elementaries?
I'd like to add something real quick. Just out of respect for the people that are talking, the board members are gonna have a chance to talk. I don't think we necessarily need to comment on each person that gets up here and talks. Just out of respect for the individual themselves.
Well, Mr. Renson, you're referring to me. I'm not gonna ask each individual person. But I do have a right to ask if I chose to, because each one of us are board members, and tonight we're going through a fact-finding process, and we have that right and will to do that. If you choose not to do it, I respect that. But if I choose to do it, I expect you to have the same
Oh, I
respect.
just thought that was the protocol.
No, the protocol was for
We
them
were gonna listen to them.
The protocol was
then
for
we were
them
gonna
to speak,
discuss.
for them to speak. Okay?
Right.
And nobody said anything about us asking questions. See, that's your problem. You don't want to ask questions.
No,
You-
it's not my problem.
What's your problem?
I don't have a problem.
So I can't ask a question?
You can ask all the questions you
Okay,
want.
well, thank you. I thought we would get to that point.
All right, next up is Rebecca Owens.
Good evening, I'm Rebecca Owens, I teach 5th grade at Grayson Elementary. I've been hearing a lot about the adults that are opposed to the plan, and they say things like, well, Miss So-and-so had almost 30 kids in hers last year, and she did fine. I don't want my child to go to that school, so I'm gonna move them because I have parents' choice. My bus driver's gonna have to pick my kid up earlier to get them to school on time, and we have perfect unity at our school already. Well, let's just get real for a moment, please. The fact is, number one, that Miss So-and-so did what she needed to do in order to make sure that no matter what the environment was like in her classroom, she was going to create the most stable environment for those children there, because she might be the only stable environment those children see in a 24-hour period. Number two, the fact is that pulling your child from that school to put them just overcrowded the preferred school, resulting in a classroom like Miss So-and-so's. And so a classroom where there are 18 of 23 students that are requiring reading intervention or special education because they cannot read or comprehend on a 5th grade level, that results in some children having to figure it out on their own because there's just not enough minutes for her in the day to get to everyone. So which child gets to be left out and make it on their own, and which child is going to get that special attention? And by a matter of fact, the total is actually 35 out of my 44 kids that need intervention on a daily basis. Number 3, the fact is that when buses are arriving at 6:50 or 6:55 to sit in the lot for doors to open at 7:20 just because they want to sit and kumbaya with the kids, let's get real. Quit threatening that you're going to pick up the kids 15 minutes earlier just to spend special time with them, loving on them. I get it, but if you want to love on them, spend some time between your routes, maybe subbing or being a para in the classroom where we need extra attention for those kids that have to sit and figure it out all by themselves. And number 4, the fact is, as far as perfect unity, I can speak from personal experience as a graduate from Caldwell Parish. I started in 1983 at Parish Elementary. And I'm not going to get into what it's like for a unique or different child to show up at junior high being the only one. I can talk to you privately on that. I had a submission from a child, and I'm just going to read a little bit from what he wrote from his young authors. He wrote this 2 weeks prior to the proposal going public. He said, I think junior high is going to be hard because of all the big kids picking on the little kids and beating them up. So that's what we have to face. Even though I'm in 5th grade, we should have 5 or 6 classes, not 2 classes. Even 3rd grade has 3. Our children are aware of the population problems within our classes and the social fears that are real to them regarding junior high. We've heard from those, and all we've heard from those opposed is how it inconveniences the adults. But this is about the children and what's best for them. And I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
All right, next one is Tanya Green.
Hi, this is my 26th year to work here as a school psychologist for Caldwell Parish. It's a great place to work. I consider Columbia my home away from home. I've worked here over half my life. Great connections with faculty, families, children, parents, grandparents. They're good people here. Change is never easy, but with it comes opportunity. There are great things happening here, but I can't help but think things could get better. It's not easy to speak on a subject over which there is so much disagreement and hostility, especially in a public setting. But I feel that with 26 years of experience working here as a school psychologist, I should not miss an opportunity to share my thoughts on center schools. I know in the end the board will make the best decision for our students. Before I start, I want to say I was going to try to find some smart research studies to support my position. Then I realized that anyone can find researchers for anything they want. That's the beauty of the internet. Just Google anything and you can find support for it. In the end, there's not a research study that could provide results specific to our Caldwell Parish. I thought it was better to speak from my 26 years of experience rather than trying to cite some research study which may or may not be valid, because I know my experience is. So let's talk about grouping by developmental level. The criteria to attend school at Head Start, student must be 3 years of age. Criteria to attend school at pre-K, student has turned 4 years of age by September 30th. Junior high, students in 6th or 8th grade. High school, 9th through 12th grade. What do these criteria have in common? They all group students according to age developmental level, which makes sense. So why should it be any different for kindergarten through 5th grade? It shouldn't be, in my opinion. Transitions. Pre-K to kindergarten transition, in my opinion, is the most important. But in my experience, it seems to be less than a smooth transition. Why is this? It's no one's fault. It's a huge change. New building, new teachers, new students. There's a big size difference. Different expectations. I think K-1 would be a much smoother transition. Setting would be more early childhood oriented. Relationships started at Head Start and pre-K can continue. Surroundings, bulletin board content, for example, would be K-1 rather than K-5. It's a different look. That may seem trivial, but when you're a little, it matters. Conscious discipline could be continued, could be rolled out. Transition from 5th grade to junior high. I see I'm running out of time. Another critical transition, but fear of the unknown. It seems especially difficult. Like I said, you got 3 different schools coming in together. If they arrived as one group together, they'd be familiar with one another. It seems especially difficult for our special ed students at times, where they don't have issues with students from their schools. There's been occasions where they've had issues with students from different schools who don't know them. Not being critical of a child that doesn't understand the disability, I'm just taking an opportunity to point out that students who attend school together over time seem to not see differences, and I think that's a great thing. In fact, the students who have grown up with each other tend to be very protective of their friends, special ed and general ed. So, I mean, I really think it's important, and I think all students should have the opportunity to attend the same school regardless of where they live, have the opportunity to meet and interact with all students in the parish throughout their academic career, rather than starting them together as littles, splitting them up K through 5, and putting them back together. Sorry.
Tommy, I know you very well, but since Mr. Rich feel like asking you a question is out of context, I'll ask you after the meeting, if that's okay.
No, you go right ahead and ask him now.
You and
I have no
relationship.
objection to
I'll
that.
ask. I'll ask.
All right, next up is Monica Coates.
I've worked in the school system for 28 years. 20 of those years has been with our early childhood pre-K program. In the past 8 years, we took on the Head Start program. So we've seen these groups of kids come in, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and move on. One thing Ms. Green said that I totally agree with is we have transition meetings with all the elementary schools. But going back to what Ms. Hall said, sometimes before they ever start to school in August, they move. So the plans we made with that SPED teacher and that principal and that kindergarten teacher is gone. And a lot of times in that beginning of the year hustle, there's not time to get around to find all those kids and see what's happening. You talk about unity. These smaller groups of teachers are so unified, it's like a family. They rely on each other not only at school, but with personal things going on, and they help one another out. They know when something's going on, they jump in, they have a duty, whatever's going on with them. It's a great thing, and when they're having a problem, they don't mind going down the hall to a partner teacher and asking to observe them or for them to come in and watch me and see what's going on. We have parental support and involvement like you wouldn't believe. Our Head Start program requires us to bring those parents in and do these interviews with them and ask them, what do you need? What are your needs with your family? So we get to know them very intimately. We know what's going on with them. When you go on to a school of 200 or 300 kids that are larger, unless we communicate that with those principals, sometimes that's lost, and that's those kids that get lost in the shuffle. Community involvement. There is never a day that we don't have some group calling us to say, hey, what can we do for y'all? How can we come in? And we have them. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen at those other schools, but when you've got such a varied group of kids, it's hard for them to cover all those grade levels. By having the smaller group of grade levels, these community organizations and our members could come in, JAG, the different high school groups, and help in our schools. Transition, again, like Ms. Green said, if we were able to communicate with one principal, one special ed teacher, and a group of kindergarten teachers to look through all those kids, who's on track, who's on our radar, who already has special needs, and move those kids and know this is where they're going to be, I think that you're going to start to see more success with the kids. Test scores, of course, we don't have test scores, and I can't tell you how doing this is going to automatically improve a test score. But I can tell you we don't have reportable test scores. We do have things we test these kids on, and they do have a score. And with this makeup, how we have it, it's much easier to pull together some of those little ones that need that extra help and to help them in much smaller groups. Our SPED teachers go in the classrooms and do inclusion, and our paras do it as well. And I think it would be an awesome thing to see this group of pre-K kids to be the first group to move on and be able to be together and have that unity in family, the protective, the family they have now to be able to move through the school system. Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Maria Guerrero.
I know most of you know me, you've heard my presentation of the reconstruction. I've been here 29 years, and we're at a time where I see that we need a change. We are working with all students at each location to make sure we are meeting the needs. Having students in one location will be able to focus in and provide specific support using fellow teachers that have best practice strategies. Trust me, change is never easy, but keeping our focus on the kids and what they need is where we need to keep our focus on. We did this MTSS, and you've heard me talk about it, and I want to share something about how is this going to change test scores. Having our kids read on level by the end of 2nd grade is going to impact that score. Working with 6th grade, Ms. Kelly worked with them in 1 year, and I'm going to share this. Ms. Hills, I hope she doesn't mind, but In their ANET score, with the intervention, we saw kids' growth in mid-year. When they got their ANET scores, those sixth graders went up 20%. So it shows what we're doing for those kids is helping. So my heart has always been what's best for kids. Yes, there will be challenges, but if we keep our focus on what's best for our students, we will only rise to the challenge. We will build proficient readers and won't have to worry about those students that say, I'm frustrated, I'm tired of school, I want to get out. We want to keep them in school. As a district, we know we will know that we are sending our students into the world to be the best they can be. I feel if this change doesn't happen, we can start it up, but I feel this is what's best for our kids. And I know you're going to do what's best for our kids.
Next is Penny Brown. Is she in the hall?
You don't have but 3 minutes. I just want to speak on the bus operators. I know y'all have said, can this be done? Yes, it can. We have been planning on this for several times, on meetings, on how we need to work this out. I don't think we'll have to start any earlier on our picking up or dropping off, but we will still meet at the high school in the afternoon. We will drop off last in the high school. Drop off last in the mornings and pick up just like we do. I just think it's good for the kids. I've been doing this for over 20 plus years, almost 30 with 7. It is hard for a change. It's hard for all of us for different changes, but I think it's in the right direction. And if we don't go in the right direction, I think we're just going to keep going backwards and backwards, and it's just not the best thing for us. And I just think it'd be good for the kids, and it can work, and I believe it will work. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Cassidy Tackett.
Good evening. My name is Cassidy Cruz Tackett, and this is my 5th year teaching in Caldwell Parish. I currently serve in this district as the K-2 special education teacher for Union Central Elementary. I'm also one of 21 teachers across the state that were chosen by State Superintendent Dr. Kay Brumley to serve on the state's first Teacher Advisory Council. I travel to Baton Rouge 4 times a year to sit in on advisory sessions with the Louisiana Department of Education, including Dr. Brumley himself. I do things and sometimes make changes to things in education that will eventually be trickling down even before Ms. McCann or other leaders. Our first meeting, I was shocked because most of the things that were brought to the table that meeting, our district already did. For instance, Zern. It's a digital math resource that has engaging lessons and games that help reinforce what's being taught to the students in math. We've been using Zern for math since I came to this district. Next year, the state's partnering with Zern. They love the resource so much that they are funding portions of it as well. Then we have our reading deficits. While the state is still trying to piece together how to properly fix COVID learning loss for our kids that were in kindergarten and first grade the year we shut down, Caldwell Parish already has boots on the ground with RTI, data-driven MTSS meetings, and truly well-trained and helpful literacy coaches that other districts haven't even thought of yet. You have to believe that our leadership will not stray us from continuing to be the best. Ms. Rebecca Meredith hired me, and I serve under her now as a sped teacher. Kim Adams was my first to me, but more importantly, my school and the students. And unfortunately, they don't give letter grades for that. All I ask tonight is that you consider that maybe this could be another thing that puts Caldwell one step ahead of the game. Education changes daily. It's not always in our best interest, but I know that Ms. McCann and her team have the best interest for this district, and they
I'm a bus operator. I support the transition I have had an experience with one of my child. I raised 2 kids, grew up. I've got grandkids in school. I'll have grandkids in each and every school when we change. But I believe change is necessary. I think test scores will go up if you have everybody in one, area. I had my oldest daughter, she failed LEAP, 8th grade, when you had to pass, and had to go to summer school, and she passed, and when she to help her even control the class, because she didn't, Now, I think that if you had everybody in one, everybody here has just about said the same thing, and I agree with everybody. You have somebody that comes in that's new, you nurture them and, bring them up to learn to help each other out. I don't see where you could go wrong. I don't see how the test scores couldn't go up. So, and that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Next is Brady Angles.
Hello. My name is Brady Angles. I worked at Union Central as the 5th grade ELA and social studies teacher. I unfortunately had to take family medical leave, but I will be returning for the upcoming school year. I would like to speak from personal experience. I grew up and I went to school in Concordia Parish, which is structured similarly to what is being proposed here tonight. From pre-K to 12th grade, I was a Viking. I went to school with the same kids my entire life, and separation between other ethnicities was never an issue in our school. We loved and appreciated everyone, and we were taught that from the very beginning. It would not be uncommon to come across groups of different ethnicities hanging out inside and outside of school. Personally, I believe that this helped instill a value in me, that it didn't matter where you were from or how much money you had, you were a Viking regardless and you belonged. I believe that this proposal will create a sense of unity that this district and the students need. And tonight, as you consider this proposal, I encourage you to take my personal experience into consideration. Thank you.
All right, next is Lana Gregory.
Good evening. I'm currently the principal at Union Central Elementary. Prior to coming here, I taught 4th grade in Alexandria, Louisiana, before moving to Caldwell Parish. I spent 1 year at Columbia before transferring to Central, where I've been for the last 8 years. I taught kindergarten for 3 years there before transitioning back to 5th grade. And I know many people prior to tonight have spoken on the increase of collaboration with the teachers and how that will directly impact the children. Many parents have voiced their opinions on losing their choice for where to send their children. But tonight, I ask you to think about the parents who are without transportation. They work hours that don't allow them to provide transportation for their kids. Those children are not given a choice. It's not an option for them. So as part of our district plan, I know we've been focusing on equity and removing barriers. And in my opinion, this plan is the picture of equity. All children would have the equal opportunity for everything. And has taken all children into consideration. So when you vote tonight, no matter what ward you represent, you ultimately represent all of the children in Caldwell Parish. And I ask that you vote in representation of what's best for all of the kids, not just the ones in your ward.
Next up is Linda Smith.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I am the principal at Grayson Elementary. I had the privilege of leading a great group of educators in Caldwell Parish. I have been not very vocal about the restructuring, but I promise you I'm 100% on board with the district's plan. The benefits for our students far outweigh the inconveniences or the uncomfortableness we may be worried about. Just a few to mention, the overcrowded classrooms, especially at Grayson, the equity, specialization in grade and content, and teacher collaboration. As a former pre-K teacher, and also I was over the Head Start for 7 years, I had the privilege of having collaboration daily. They always say the best PD is right across the hallway, and it definitely is, because I had that for about 13 years. And then whenever I moved to Head Start, I had it for 7 years as a leader in that school with teachers under me. So I definitely know the benefits of the collaboration and having the same grade level in the same school. I have a 3rd grade teacher. I'm just going to give an example, a social studies math teacher, just like Krista mentioned. The only 3rd grade social studies and math teacher in Grayson. So as much as we try to plan across district, it's just really hard to travel from school to school. So just being able to share those strategies amongst you up and down the hall in the cafeteria, on the playground, would benefit our students so much. Also, I'd like to speak to the overcrowdedness at Grayson. So I do have a very large school, 285. I do not have a single classroom or closet or copy room available because I have given it out to someone. Ms. Broussard is our gifted teacher this year, and luckily we moved out a copy room and she's in there. But Ms. McCann was going to give me an extra teacher to hire this year because we had so many in one grade level, but unfortunately I didn't have the classroom to put them in. So I would love to see with the restructuring the equalness across all grade levels and classroom sizes, because as much as we try to provide intervention and specialize, with the students, we have a lot of students in our classrooms, up to 24, per classroom. And our interventionist, who works hard, and she does an absolute amazing job, she has to serve around 270 kids versus 100 and something. And so just with this restructuring, it will definitely benefit our scores. It will definitely benefit our teachers and our students. So as you vote tonight, just please keep our students in mind.
All right, next one is Kobe Schultz.
So I spend a lot of time in our school system with the kids, going in and doing different activities, from crossfire clubs to filling teacher lounge fridges, and anything I can do to just help you guys. 'Cause y'all are all stinking amazing, so every one of you. But I have noticed I spend a lot of time in the school system with the kids, and I spend a lot of time outside of it. And it's really amazing to spend time with kids that have reached 7th, 8th, on up to 12. A lot of times, their friends and the people around them, they don't fit them. In other words, they don't have the same upbringing, they don't look just like them, they don't have the same type home situation because they're in a collaboration. And they've been experiencing it for a few years. So there's a saying I always say, what you don't know won't kill you, but I believe what you don't know will kill you. And so there's a lot of kids, I believe, that for a lack of exposure to other people, other upbringings, the way other people operate, by doing so, 6th and 7th grade is, by studies, it shows that's like one of the hardest times for a kid. They're going through the greatest changes in their bodies and their mental capacity and all these different things. And this collaboration is happening. It's just whether are we going to wait till 6th grade or are we going to do it now. And anything that we do earlier always gives the students a better chance to be more successful instead of piling it on them during one of the greatest changes of their lives. I truly believe, from kindergarten all the way through high school, if we are to do this, it's going to broaden friendship circles. It's going to bring a greater unity in sports. I've heard people bring that up. And a lot of times the choice thing comes up, and a lot of people, I just wanted to hear people's perspectives, and a lot of times choice comes into play. There's a scripture in the Bible that said, the first commission God gave us, it said, be fruitful and multiply. That word multiply means my son is just an extension of me. And the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I would do anything to give my son the best leg up to be successful, not just in the classroom, but be successful as a human being. I want my son to be raised with a value system for all people, all colors, all socioeconomical standings, all upbringings. And so by doing so, we position our kids that from the very beginning the value system gets put in place. But God says, love your neighbor as yourself. So if I'm willing to do that for my kid, I have to be willing to do the same exact thing for the kid that I don't know. It's all the way across the board. So if I want success for my kid, yeah, it may be easy one day when my kid gets to school, they'll be like, okay, I don't like to sit there and pull them out. But if my value system is every kid that comes to school with my son, or every kid that my son will play with is equal to my son, then I have to lay down at night and say, hey, I put my voice out for the best for every kid, not just mine. So, but in my last 15 seconds, I want to tell you, board members, you're going to do a great job. And whether you vote why I like it or not, I'm going to support you. And make sure I'm the reason that anything you choose tonight will all succeed together.
Up is Cynthia Esters.
Hi, I am a bus driver, 30-something odd years. I'd like to just know I don't want to prolong me because everybody hears the same thing. I am for it. I believe it will improve, and I want to step up to the challenge and we'll step out this comfort zone and be positive and do what's best for the kids. Thank you.
All right, next is Heather Darden.
My name's Heather Darden. I'm not originally from Caldwell, but I have been here. I got married and moved here in 2010. I started working for Caldwell Parish in 2011. I started at Kelly Elementary. I was the only 6th grade math and science teacher at the time. I was the only 5th grade math, science, and social studies teacher at the time. It was my first year teaching. So, needless to say, I mean, it was a hard year. People tried to help, but again, I was the only one, so there wasn't, a lot of help. That year, Kelly Elementary closed, and I then went to Grayson Elementary, and I was there for 6 years where I taught 3rd and 5th grade. Again, I was the only teacher teaching my grade level and subject. From there, I went to the junior high, and I taught for 4 years. 2 of those 4 years, I was the only 7th grade math teacher in the parish. So if your child was in 7th grade math, I was their teacher. If there was personality conflict or schedule conflict, I was it. The last 2 years at the junior high, I was lucky enough to have a co-teacher that taught the same grade and subject as me, and it was just, the best change. You had somebody to share ideas with, you had somebody to share the workload with. It made a huge difference. I'm currently a bus driver. I stepped out of the classroom this year, and I drive, if not the longest, one of the longest routes in the parish. I am 110% for the change. I have 30 kids that will be in 1st, 3rd, and 5th next year, so we'll have 3 at 3 different schools. But I'm still for it. There's no negatives that outweigh the positives in my opinion. Academically, I don't see any negatives. I know that change is hard. I don't like change. I was scared to death to go to junior high. But, eventually you either look back and realize, why was I so scared, or you never look back. I couldn't imagine not being at the junior high if I were to go back in the classroom now. When Kelly closed, it was change. 4-day week was change. Uniforms was change. We got through it, and my kids don't know any different. So in a few years, this will be the norm. When my kids found out my nieces and nephews had school on Mondays, they were just like, what? Because that's all they know. So eventually, after probably 2 or 4 years, the kids won't know any different. Right now they went to Head Start, they changed to pre-K, they changed to kindergarten. It'll just become the norm. And nobody's gonna let, these children not transition. They're gonna put in the work. Thank you.
Next is Justin Prim.
I'm Justin Prim. I'm from Columbia, Louisiana. I've lived here pretty much 31 out of 33 years of my life. I currently work at Caldwell Parish Junior High. I spent 5 years working at Caldwell Parish High School. Miss Barbara Hall spoke a long time ago. It seemed like 3 hours ago. Something that stuck out to me, what she said, is you got your kids that, parents move around all over the place. Their environment is constantly changing. And I constantly thought about that, and I go, that was me. Some of y'all sitting on the board know that personally, because you know me my entire life. We moved when the light bill came in. So that environment constantly changed for me. If we'd have had center schools and things like that, I would have been with the same kids throughout that entire insane process that was my childhood. It's kind of funny, we're sitting over here, my watch went off and said that my heart rate was above 120 beats per minute. I'm with you, some of you are the same way. I heard some of y'all talking about it. It's because you're so passionate about it, and I completely understand that. I think it's kind of interesting that the people that are speaking up, that are present here today, are the people that are fully engulfed in the battlefield of this situation. We got the teachers that are going to make all these changes. All the bus drivers, they're gonna make these changes. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I could not walk into a hospital and tell them how to do their job. I couldn't walk in Max Fresh Market across the road and say, this is how you run a grocery store. But I know that we got teachers in here that know how to make this process work. And regardless of how y'all vote, I know that this parish will persevere and move on. It's what the Caldwell is all about. It's what I love about Caldwell. Kids here are tough, the adults here are tough. We breed them from kindergarten all the way up to be tough, and we're gonna make it through it. And I know change is weird, it's uncomfortable, but I'm gonna ask you all this too. As human beings, as adults, when have we grown the most? When we're uncomfortable. You can go and be comfortable all day long, and you can, Mr. Barton can speak to this too. Until you put kids in situations where they're uncomfortable, they're not gonna have any personal growth. And I'm speaking that from a teacher, from a coach. I've seen that, and I'll speak to being a teacher. I was the English 1 teacher at Caldwell Parish High School for several years, and I laugh about that because I was not ready. Miss Sherry Jones reached out, branched to me and said, here, I know you need some money. I was living in someone else's house with no money. I was coaching at St. Fred's. I had nothing. And she gave me that opportunity to do that, and I thank that, and I struggled through it, but I didn't have very much help in my background. Miss Dottie Shaw, which is Mr. Barton's sister, she worked her butt off to try to help me out in that, but I was the only English 1 teacher. I'm a kinesiology major. I'm supposed to be a teacher. I had no collaboration, had nobody to help me. My ego would have to be insane. I would have to be like, well, I'm this great teacher to believe that I was. I wasn't. I had no help. She tried to do all she could. And I have to think that I probably would have been a lot better off. And that feeling to be the only teacher that teaches what you do at your school is like being a head coach of a football team of 70-something kids, and there's no assistants. Yeah. Could you imagine what that's like? Some of y'all can attest to that. And I know what that's like to some capacity. I worked in Walsall Parish and Monroe City. We already had this collaboration. We had meetings. We sat down unified as an entire group trying to make this thing work. And this is what this is going to allow for all of us to do that. I couldn't imagine if I had a couple more English 1 teachers going, hey, let's help this out and make this better. I hope that y'all, and I hope that y'all vote in a positive way and try to meet the needs of our kids beyond your own personal belief and your own personal agendas, because that's not what it's about today. It's about our kids, and I think every person that's spoken said that. Make the decision that's best for our kids. Don't worry about your own personal agendas.
Next up is Melissa Gilpatrick.
I'm the principal of Columbia Elementary School, and as I've mentioned before, I'm supportive of the proposal for many reasons. Teacher collaboration, school scores, administrative specialization are all a few, but the main reason that I would like to see this pass is for equity for all students, as we've said over and over and over tonight. We entered this profession because we value the gift that we've all been given to educate children, of influencing children to develop and grow into their full potential, and it's our goal to develop those well-rounded individuals. By providing stability and allowing students to interact daily with a multitude of others who aren't just like they are, develops social and behavioral norms that sets the stage for positive mental growth for everyone. This also provides a feeling of security for students within themselves and their peers, and that will ultimately improve their confidence, which in turn improves their school grades, test scores, and then the school system as a whole. So I absolutely love my school just the way it is. That's where my children went to school when we moved here, and I love Columbia Elementary, but I don't just love Columbia Elementary students. I love students of the whole parish, and it's coming from the junior high back into elementary. I saw the hodgepodge that you get at the junior high. I saw those really raw 6th grade students who are now learning how to go along with everyone, people that might not look and act like them, and that's really hard for them to do. So as it's been said multiple times already, I think it's important that we start that development in their younger spongy years to where they don't have to go through as hard of a change when they do reach their junior high years. Thank you.
All right, last card is Ashley Roberts.
Although there are many positive outcomes I've received from making this change, I'd like to discuss one from my personal experience of teaching for 28 years in the Caldwell Parish school system. Having all teachers in the pre-K building and Head Start building with the same goals, objectives, and standards has allowed us to work together as a team, strive towards the same outcomes, watch others in various settings, whether it be playground, cafeteria, etc., and see how other teachers strategize through the struggles that we all seem to face at times. At Head Start, we work closely with pre-K, and we know what they expect their students to know, our students to know when they enter pre-K. We are like-minded with our goal being to prepare all students in our care for the next school year. I can't believe I'm so nervous speaking. A concern I've heard from the community is our kids will only get 2 years with the same staff. They won't build a relationship, they'll move on, and where's the sense of community? In 1986, I had a 1-hour class for 1 year with Mr. James King. In 1989, I had a 1-hour class for 1 year with David Hillman. Both of those men taught me from very early in the school year that they cared about me, encouraged me, and helped me. They are still not strangers to me when I see them in town. When I was failing math in college, guess where I went? Second floor at CPHS by the staircase, and Mr. Hillman helped me get through my class because he cared. My point is, it doesn't matter how long a student is in your school, it matters how big of an impact the teacher makes. It matters if you truly try to build a relationship with students and families. I get 1 year with the students that come through KECC, and I strive to build relationships with them as I have them. I had the opportunity to teach some of my old pre-K students in driver's ed. I have some of my old pre-K students that have their children coming to Head Start, and I actually have one of my old pre-K students that's one of the teachers on my staff. So with all that being said, a sense of community depends on the teacher, not the building or how long they're in it.
I forgot to fill out the card. I can't say nothing like that. You're not a board member anymore. Be quiet.
I don't have a problem with taking.
Oh,
If the rest of them don't.
Well, I mean, if you give it to one, you got to give it to everybody else. No, I'm just saying, no, she's an administrator. She can talk, what I'm saying is, to be fair, if you give it to her, just give it to everybody else. I don't have an issue with it.
I don't have an issue with it.
I promise you I'll be very brief.
Well, I don't have,
I'm
talk
Mary
to 10 o'clock if you
Wiley.
want to.
I'm Mary Wiley. I've been in the school system 48 years. I've been a teacher. Started the pre-K, was their principal for 3 years. At Union Central for 5 years. We were the top school, had the top class. 4th grade, I would say, because every student passed the elite test. And then, now I'm federal program director. I've been there for the last 20 years. 2 more years to go, then I'll be the golden 50. And then nigga kick me out and go there. But anyhow, I'm just brief to say, I was one of the 3 or 4, nothing about 13, 14, that went to Baker High School system. In Baker, Louisiana, and Mr. Glass went also. And we saw how this their plan increased test scores, because they did the same thing. And that's how their scores increased. And I'm for the plan. All the district administrators, directors, supervisors, all for the plan, to my knowledge. I know you heard from the teachers and from the principals, the school staff, but I'm speaking on behalf of all the administrators in our district, that we are for the plan. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Randy, you want to start?
We're just gonna go around the table.
We up.
Well, I'd like to start out by saying that I'm
Randy, if you don't mind, I think board members should have the opportunity to speak at will, as long as it's not outlandish. 3 minutes is not the protocol for us. Yeah.
First off, I'd like to say, Marion, if it come across as an attack on you, I'm sorry. I do not mean it to be that way.
You know, you and I got a good relationship.
Right.
And what people don't understand, because they don't come here, there's no issue between you and I. I respect you highly, and I respect whatever decision you're going to make. So we're good.
Same here. We're good here. All right. You know, the past 2 nights, I've laid in bed and I've had a speech that would convince everybody in this parish to come around to my way of speaking. And I've laid there and thought about it and thought about it. And then today something came over me in my spirit that said, you know, maybe you ought not just tell everything. You know, maybe you ought not go up there and just, and as I was walking out the door, my wife looked at me and she said, and she's generally smarter than me about these things. She looked at me and she said, Randy, she said, you know, sometimes less is more. I said, okay, I'll try to remember that. She said, well, yeah, please do. So anyway, but my speech was what most everybody in this room said. I don't know what I could add to it. You know what I am? I am a bottomland hardwood specialist. I grew bottomland hardwood seedlings and pine seedlings for a living. That's what I did for 35 years. That's my specialty. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know more about education than professional educators do. My father was a professional educator. My mother was a professional educator. My wife was a professional educator. I have a daughter that's a professional educator. I don't know as much as they do about education. All of these that do, you know, great. I respect y'all's opinion, and I've tried to listen to y'all's opinion. And there's parents in this position, and there's parents in this parish that I listen to their position. And I try to listen to everybody's position on this. I tried to keep the position on the children. It's all about that. It's not about the bus drivers. It's not about, you know, all these other issues that brought up. Those, don't get me wrong. These are all valid issues that came up. And those issues will be addressed. But this plan is about consolidating the K-1 at Grayson, the 2-3 at Columbia, and the 4-5 at Union Central. And if we think that we're going to provide a better education for our children by doing that, if you think so, by all means support this plan. If you don't, by all means you don't. I know one thing. Everybody in this room is here for one reason, and one reason only, to provide the best education we can for our children in this parish. I've got 3 kids that, I don't. I've got 3 grandchildren. I've got 3 grandchildren at Columbia Elementary. I raised 4 kids through this school system. I love this school system. I love this parish. And I know that everybody in here does. And our goal, everybody's goal, we may have a difference in opinion on how to get there, but in the end, our final goal is to do what is best for the children in this parish. And I truly believe all the children in this parish, not just some of the children, but all the children. And I think that's the main thing we've got to keep our eye on. That's the goal we have to do. We can get caught up in all these other things, but we got to, you know, we've got to keep our eye on that goal. It's these children and all the children, and educating. That's the goals of school board member. If you look in the first paragraph, that it says, you know, the responsibility of a school board member is to provide the best possible education for all the children in their district. All the children in their district. And that's it. I just appreciate everything.
You gonna vote now?
No, we vote out.
We're going to talk and then.
Yeah.
I'm just like Randy on putting the children first. To me, since 1991, that's 32 years of being a teacher and an educator. It's always been my goal to put all children first, and that's extremely important to me. Tonight, according to my calculations, we had 7 administrators, 3 bus drivers, 2 parents, and 4 teachers speak, and everybody was for it. Good job. Not one person in this room spoke against it. But tonight, when this board votes, it's not going to be 7-0. It's not going to be 7-0. And the reason it's not going to be is because of the number of people who are against it. Okay? So don't take that personal. Don't take it personal. One thing I've told Ms. McCann from the get-go is, if this passes, I love the kids. I'm gonna be for the kids, okay? But there are some problems with this thing. A lot of problems with this thing. And if you think it's not, then you need to get you a bag of Skittles and eat on them. Not those from somewhere that's sugar-coated with things that ain't got no business on them either. Because that's going on in our schools right now. Not in necessarily our schools, but schools all over the place. So there's a lot of problems here. Even though we had 3 bus drivers speak up, I know 16 or 17 that's against it. No doubt in my mind. Even though we had 4 teachers speak of it. I know what the percentage is at Columbia Elementary, and it ain't good. That don't mean they're not going to support it if it passes, but they're not for it. So don't think this is going to be easy. Can it be done? It's great for me to look in here and see the team that Ms. McCann has brought in here and that has established all throughout this parish. It shows unity. It shows a lot of unity, and that's what it's going to take. So when you talk about the students, the thing that scares me the most is now that LaSalle Parish has passed 4-day week. We got teachers considering leaving. We got bus drivers that's considering leaving. We got parents who are considering taking their kids out. I've heard drastic numbers. I don't necessarily believe that many numbers, but if you know the books like most of us know these books, we can't afford to lose 20. We can't afford it. So don't take the votes here personal, because when it's about the kids, it's not just about the education of the kids, because whether you understand this or not, the bus driver gets the kid to school. So that bus driver's opinion matters to me. The mom and the dad and the grandmothers who haul these kids to 3 different schools matter to me. The people who bought land so that their kids could go to a specific school and who have houses and stuff, who moved in here just for that reason, matter to me. Okay? So if we lose children to private schools, to home schools, the students that we're going to lose are your higher performing students. That's who you're going to lose. And y'all talking about test scores. Look, I'm not a test score person. I believe in loving a kid and educating a kid. That's the problem we got in education today. Is if you're an administrator, Ms. McCann's going to look at you about your test scores. Okay, that's just a fact. That's the way it is. As Ms. McCann, this board looks at her about her test scores. I don't like that, but that's the way it is. It's about loving the kids and educating the kids and loving them all the same, the best you can. But this is going to be a vote, and this ain't going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But I'll tell you what I did. I moved back here. I left here for personal reasons, but I moved here because I know what's here. This is a great place, an outstanding place to live, to raise children, and to educate people. It's an outstanding place. But don't eat the candy. Don't eat the candy that there's 7, 10, 12, 16 people in here that's for it and nobody else is against it, because it's not that way. I wish I could tell you. I had 4 teachers call between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock today. Okay? So it ain't just everybody. That doesn't mean when you go back to your specific school in August, wherever you are assigned to, that it's not going to be, that it can't be done. It's going to pass 4-3. It's going to pass 4-3. Okay? So when this passes 4-3 tonight, you understand that the 4-3 that it's gonna pass at is the same ratio, if not flip-flop just a little bit, as to what this parish is like. So this is a tough decision on this board. Randy's lost sleep. Bo's lost sleep. Melinda, Maria, everybody in here, this has been a tough decision for all of us. But the truth is there any administrator not here?
Yes, there are some who are on the way to Southern Place.
Okay. So, but other than that, everybody's here. That's important. Because if all y'all ain't on the same page, it's like Justin Prim said a while ago. I've been in some coaching meetings where there was some fussing and some griping and some hollering, and by 11:30, Coach Samp, we was all eating at Popeyes together, okay? When we walked out of that room, we was all on the same page. But this ain't the sweetest thing that's happened. I'm telling you, I've listened to parents squalling and crying. I've listened to teachers squalling and crying. And it's been tough on me. It's the toughest thing probably in dealing with kids and parents for 32 years I've ever dealt with. So if it passes, or when it passes, let's get it done. Let's get it done, because if we don't have $70 million to go back. We don't have $70 million to go back and fix this and fix that and twist it all back and put it back like it was. We don't have it. Okay? When I walked out of Nikki's office 3 or 4 months ago, I went, this looks pretty good. Will it fit us? I don't know. Personally, I don't think it does. That's my opinion. But please, principals, administrators, teachers, my phone number's on the book, and it's the right one. And I will answer. Okay? You might not like what I say, but I'll answer. Okay? You might like what I say, but I will answer. So I love you, and I appreciate you. And look, when this is done, roll up your sleeves and get after it. Yes, ma'am, get after it. I didn't do it for 3 minutes, did I?
I don't know. She didn't have the clock going.
Thank you, Nikki.
I didn't make any speech. I've just been listening to people. When they come talk to me, when they send me messages, I've tried to answer. I've learned more about Gmail than I thought I ever would know. I've tried to listen. And it started with the principals the first night. It started with them. It's a hard thing. It's a big decision, and I know it affects every person in this parish. Even though they say, well, I'm just a grandparent, I don't have any kids here. It doesn't matter. You may have great grandkids coming here. But I think that we need to stop just circling, and I think we need to go forward. So that's all I got to say.
Randy and I are very passionate about what we do. So if you think it's political discourse, then perhaps you're at the wrong place and at the wrong time. I'm going to come from a different perspective than everybody on this board, because I got 30 years here. I've seen 6 superintendents. I've seen principals come and go. Between 4:10 and 6 o'clock this evening, I got 12 calls from teachers. If you look at Grayson Elementary School, that's 22. That would be over half if it was that school. Central Elementary School has got 18. It will be more than half. Union Central, 15. Parish High School, so forth and so on. So I'm not speaking to anybody in this room because everybody here is for it. I'm speaking to those people on that camera who have told me why they do not support this plan. I put trust and confidence in those teachers who are the ones who have to implement this particular program. So let's look at school choice. If we look at school choice, that means that when you go to centers, that individual person no longer have the school choice. That may or may not be written in the school progression plan as of yet, but here's the problem. If we don't have school choice, that means that that money that we are supposed to be receiving can possibly go to another school system. Even if Janice Jones has indicated that there's 120 students that may leave Caldwell Parish, which I doubt it. But let's assume that it's 10. That's $80,000. Let's assume that it's 20. It's $160,000. We're talking about bus drivers going different routes, which to my estimation and calculation Somebody indicated it's been about $50,000. That money is going to take place. Nick, I see you looking over. This is somebody that has prepared this from this particular school system. So when we look at Union Central School, we're talking about a road that we don't even have access to. If you put a new road there, that's going to be another $20,000. So everybody's talking about the painted picture, the car that's being painted, waxed up and everything, but nobody's talking about the motor. If you look at the test score for 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, English language arts, math, and science. It's not a good deal. So what I have suggested, I think that we need to change. I'm never afraid to change. Been changing for 30 years on this board. Dress code, 4-day school week, all this other stuff. So this has been the easiest decision for me because I think it's the worst decision that has ever come before me. So when you look at all of this stuff right here, when you look at teachers telling you that they do not agree with this plan, and they are not here because they are 100% afraid of retaliation, loss of employment, or somebody mistreating them. Now, I don't have a problem with anybody in there that's supporting this plan. I have a problem with you having a problem with me not supporting it. There's nobody in here who's taken this personal. I love Melinda no matter what way you vote. Mr. Barton has indicated it's 4-3. I've told everybody we're going to hit the ground running. But don't make no mistake and think that the superintendent has a mandate. It's 4-3. That's a simple majority. A unanimous would be 7. So when you look at this plan being implemented, there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done. There's been a lot of division that's been created. I have individuals from each school. We're talking about equity. If you look at this board, since integration, there's been only one other Negro that's been here. That's been me. If you look at Union Central School, there's only one black parent that's there, a teacher. If you look at Columbia, if you look at the high school, so when you talk about equity and fairness, I ask myself, what are they looking at? Because it's not there. So you lead by example. You don't come in here and talk about it, you lead by example. I've told the superintendent that the administration, there's some people in certain places that are in the wrong places, we're getting the wrong result. Let's fix everything. Don't just paint the car. Don't just wax it up and put it out there for sale. Let's deal with the entire problem. I agree that we need to move forward. I agree that the issue is, I said, what if this plan fails? What's plan B? Nobody to this date has been able to tell me what a plan B is. So am I going to gamble with these kids not knowing? There's never been a position that has been brought to me without a plan B. Nobody, no superintendent. There's one superintendent that I voted for, which was Caldwell. Turned out to be probably one of the best superintendents. So I think I have a good outlook on what I'm looking at. I'm saying there's a problem that needs to be addressed. You go to centers. You got the same people in the same place doing the same thing. What's going to happen? So if it fails, who do we blame? If it doesn't go right, who do we blame? What are we going to do next? So I'm saying let's put something forward that in the event that it does not go right. What are we going to do? So if we fall back on this, we don't have 2 years to wait. We don't have 3 years to wait. If you look at what you call an implementation dip, that means that it's going to take 2 or 3 years before you get the results that you want. Do we have 2 or 3 years? So everybody's talking about this, that, and other, and that's fine. I'm talking about what you're talking about. All I'm saying is add something else to this plate. I told the superintendent, if you can bring me over to this other side, I'll be 100% in favor of it. But I'm never going to support anything that's brought before me that does not give me an option. Because if it fails, I'm not going to be a part of it. Now, if it does pass, which it is, we're going to hit the ground running tomorrow. We're going to get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and you're going to have all of us on board. We have a right to agree to disagree. If you look at perception versus reality, if you look at that wall right there, the perception is that there have been all white males. Well, there's been one black school board member that served on that. So we look at perception versus reality. I'm saying let's look at reality. We have problems, and we have to address those problems. We have to put people in the right place. We have to do the right thing. We can't do it because it's sugar-coated. We can't do it because it's our friend. We can't do it because it's our enemy. We got to do it because it's the right thing. Because I have parents every day coming to me from each individual school saying that this person they feel don't like me. My kid is being mistreated. And some of it I've seen with my own eyes. So don't come in here and tell me that all this stuff is rosy the way it is. Let's join together. Let's fix what problem we have. Let's move forward. I don't have a grudge against anybody. Vote the way you want. I love it. We're going to hit the ground running tomorrow. I think Maria, what I've learned, is one of the best board members that we have. I think she's very intelligent. I think she can make her own decision. She didn't need me to call her and try to convince her how to vote, and I didn't. Nor did Melinda, nor did Bo, nor did Randy. I think we all should arrive at whatever point and position we should. But the issue I have is this. If you serve on this board and you feel that other individuals outside of your ward calls you, that's a disservice. Well, that's a disservice on your part because you represent Caldwell Parish School System. Caldwell Parish School System. So if there's any teacher that's got an issue, I can guarantee you for 30 years, if you came to me, I tried to solve your problem. I've told those individuals on that camera, if you have any retaliation, you come to me and I'll help you deal with it personally, because everybody, including the ones that are here, should have a right to voice their opinion, and so should they. And if we have a culture in the system that allows people to be afraid to speak their behalf, that's a problem within itself. So if we want to move forward, let's not talk about the things that we like. Let's talk about the things that we dislike. Let's talk about the things that you don't like. Let's talk about the things that you don't see, that other people see. So in the end, we can move forward. But we can't move forward when everybody's walking around, accepting what they're being told, and not going and finding what they need to find out for themselves. There's a lot of information here that I cannot begin to give out. But nobody has talked about the cost associated with this. What about those bus drivers when they find out that they've driven an extra 4 hours a week? Are they going to come back and say they want to get paid? Lastly, this proposal, when it passes, because of Act 1, what you see on this paper, it ain't necessarily going to be how it's supposed to be, because the superintendent has the authority to change whatever it is that she wants to do and implement that. So if you have some hope that this may happen, hopefully it will. I don't think she'll lie to you. I'm just giving you the facts that she does have a right to change that. So if a teacher's being guaranteed to go there, she can change her mind at any point in time. These are the facts that you have not heard. Tough love is tough love, but it's fair and it's honest. If anybody in here don't know me, get to know me. Don't judge this passion off of anger, because it's not. Because I'm actually happy. I want this to be over with. I want us to move forward. And I want every kid in Caldwell Parish to be able to say that they had the best education possible. And whatever way we can give that to them, I'm willing to do that. But I happen to 100% vehemently disagree with this plan, and I've made no mistakes about it. I've let you know where I stood. I've told you why I stood this way. And I'll always be able to tell you why I stand, where I stand. And many people will tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to hear. And Maria, I wish you the best. I know you probably had a lot of pressure put on you. But in the end, when the smoke clears and the dust settles, when you can go home at night knowing that you made the right decision and sleep comfortably, you've done the best job you can do.
It's gonna be hard, I think. So yeah, I am one of the only ones up here that has a child at an elementary school. And when I first heard it, you know, the idea, I was pretty excited about it, but I had to put that parent role aside because I'm sitting in front of you guys as a school board member, and that comes first in this decision. So I didn't make my mind up until I saw a plan. I listened to meetings with teachers and bus drivers on, you know, how the plan was forming, and I waited to see the plan. I have had my phone open, my door at work open. I've had people come see me constantly about this, and I hear them out. You know, I didn't try to sway anyone one way or the other. I wanted to hear. And I have come to the conclusion that the majority, the majority of the people that have contacted me are for this plan. Now, Barron's right. There have been some teachers contact me that are not all for this plan. That's fine. That's okay. Just like there have been a few parents contact me that are not all for this plan. That's okay. It's okay. You know, as parents, that's our job to stand up for our kids. And if that's what you feel is right for your kid, that's okay. But I have to look at the big picture. And the thing I keep getting is, it's always been like that. It's always been like this. My grandparents went here. It's always been like that. I'm a graduate of Central, and I love that school. My kids went there. But just because it's always been like that, doesn't mean there's any room for growth. Just because change is uncomfortable for us, doesn't mean it's not good. So, yeah, and even after this, I hope, I've had a lot of really good discussions with people, and I hope that regardless how it goes, one way or the other, I hope everyone can come together for the good of these children, because like all of you have said, that's all it's about. It's about the kids at the end of the day. Like she's
When I began this journey, I said that I would do the Boys of Ward 6. And so I've heard from a lot of people, and I appreciate them calling and talking to me. We talked about the pros and cons of this restructuring. And some were totally against it, some were totally for it, some were on the fence. They needed to know more. And so did I. I not only heard from the people in my ward, but also all over the parish. And I don't think that at any time that I haven't taken anybody seriously about their conversations with me, because, I understand their concerns and worry. I too have a grandson that this will affect. There's all kinds of, every children is different. They have their own personalities, they have their own needs. Some do well with change, some don't. Now my grandson, he will do well with change. He loves it. He wants to be with his friends from all over the parish. He is just a big personality. Our job as parents, grandparents, teachers, bus drivers, paras, and actually the community is to help our children in changes, no matter if it's life, school. So the decision is a big one for me. I've never really been out in the public as far as trying to represent anyone. I've worked in the school system myself, actually. And so I do know some of the ins and outs of how the system works. I prayed for the guidance every day, not only for myself, but for this school board, so that we could make the right decisions. And it's been a long journey, and it doesn't stop when we vote, because I will always continue to pray for the best, for our children, for our teachers, our administrators, the school board, anybody that has anything to do with our children. Our children deserve the best that we can give them. And I believe and I feel that this change will improve our children's ability to learn and to socialize. With that, I have had more calls that have been positive than negative. I like to represent everyone, but at this point I've got to make a decision whether or not to vote for this. And I think that with that, I will be a yes. Our teachers are going to benefit from the common planning with their peers who teach in the same grade level and subjects that will direct impact our students' achievements. The administration has done an outstanding job, in my opinion. That's just me. Of informing, planning, and working with parents, teachers, bus drivers, and school personnel. I know it's going to be difficult. Change is always difficult. But I know that Ms. McKenna has an awesome team put together here. And whatever they do is going to be good. I believe in it. I'm excited about it. We just got to give it a chance. We just can't say 1 week in and that's it. It's failed. We can't do that. I understand that teachers are all not for it. There's a lot of things, that a lot of people are against. A lot of people are for. But I think this one is going to be a positive direction for our children. Thank you.
First of all, I'm not a speaker. I don't like it. Probably one of my greatest fears is speaking in front of people. I know within the last 3 months, there's been lots of people calling me, both good and bad. And come out, work at a public place with Duke's Hardware, probably most of you know, and I get it regularly. And I know it's some good points to positive points to this plan. And I spoke to Nikki, she knows how I stand. But my vote is probably gonna be no. And that's all I have.
You want to recess it in 5 minutes and come back, or you want to go and vote now?
I'm ready to vote when y'all are.
Okay, roll call vote.
All right. We need a motion and a second first, or do we?
I'd like to offer substitute motion that we remain the same way we are and change some of the positions that need to be changed to adequately implement what we already have.
I'll second that.
What was that now?
All right. Everybody understand what that,
No.
what we got to understand?
I have a substitute motion that I'm offering, that we remain the same way we are and change the necessary positions that need to be changed to implement what we already have.
All right, what we're gonna have to do,
You're just gonna vote on your substitute motion.
Okay.
It's gonna fail, we're gonna go back to the original motion.
we're gonna have to vote on the substitute motion first.
Yeah.
And if you vote on the substitute, everybody make it clear now, if you vote on the substitute motion, the way it states, then, and it passes, So, understand exactly what that motion means, okay?
It means it stays like it is what it says.
Yeah.
All right.
Roll call.
Motion there and a second vote. Roll call, Randy Rents.
No.
Yes.
Roll call, Melinda Ballard. No. Karen Glass.
Yes.
Maria Bass.
No.
Ray Castles.
Yes.
And Johnny Fallon.
No.
All right, back to the original plan.
Motion and a second, and then we'll do roll call.
Second.
Motion first, I'm sorry.
I'll motion.
Motion and second made by Ms. Fallon. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Rents.
Yes.
Mr. Barton.
Nope.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Glass.
No.
Ms. Bass.
Yes.
Mr. Castles.
No.
And Ms. Fallon.
Yes.
All right, it's passed. That being said, I will get behind the court.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon? I know this was tough. Y'all, I'm so sorry. But thank you so much for listening because This has been an idea for a long time. It's been a conversation with the public for not so long, and I know that you have heard. And I want you to know that this plan did not roll out the way that I originally envisioned it. This plan rolled out because of the people who put it together and the feedback that we heard. And we provided a lot of opportunities for feedback, and just because we didn't just give up on the plan doesn't mean we didn't listen. We listened to the concerns and we listened to the cons, and we tried to work those things out. And what I believe is that we have a plan that's even better than the one that we originally envisioned. And that's because in Caldwell Parish School District, everybody being a part of this team is what built this beautiful plan. I apologize that it looks like Skittles and that we have just thrown everything out there to be positive, because I assure you that everybody who's called me with concerns, we have addressed and we have adjusted and we have tweaked, because we're trying to make a plan that we believe is the best. I promise you, you have a team of leaders and a team of teachers, whether they were for it or not, who are going to work their behinds off to make this work for our kids, because everybody in this school system loves kids. And whether we get it the way we want or not, they're going to do it, and I believe that. And we've talked, and we're gonna bust our tails. We're not failures. We're gonna make this work, and we're gonna bust our tails to make it happen. And if there are parents or there are teachers who are concerned, we're gonna bust our tails to try to bridge those relationships, because we want this to be the very best that it can be. And I appreciate you all for listening to that and for giving me the feedback so that we could do that together.
Hey, Kaylee, get with me next week, because we need to have a policy committee meeting to address the dress code, cell phones, and a few other things I'll send you the information on, but that needs to be done immediately. I think, Melinda, you on it, right? And you? Okay, yeah, so it's daytime, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, good.
What time?
12, 1. That's when you usually set it, right?
That's Monday?
Well, you know, one day next week. Is that when you typically set it, Kaylee?
Yeah, we usually do it,
Well, I'll be in Baton Rouge Monday, Tuesday.
It was Mr. King.
maybe it's Randy.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, Kaylee, I just thought about it. I'll be in Baton Rouge Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
So just to follow. You don't have to set it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll text.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We got superintendent's report.
Okay.
One more thing.
That's supposed to be the only thing on the agenda.
Is it?
Well,
This is it.
one more comment that I need to add is for teachers or parents who are concerned, and I know that there were a lot of things about, I'm gonna pull my kid, I'm gonna move them to another school, I'm gonna homeschool them. Before you make a transition like that, I just encourage you to make the transition with us. If you don't like it, once you give it a try, then you always have the option to pull your kid out to homeschool, or you can always send them to private school later. I just ask that you give us the opportunity to prove that we can do this and that we have the best interest for your kids. And so we'll work through this together. I just ask for that, you know. So, okay, so the only thing.
So Nick, if you don't mind, principals, be present, directors, be present, because we're going to deal with cell phones specifically. I think there's been many issues with people saying that people are using cell phones at school, which there's a policy now that if it's in the on or off position, that they should be punished, and I don't think that's happening. So one or two things will happen. Either we're going to ban cell phones or we're going to enforce the policy, but that's something that we need to deal with ASAP, because there's a FOIA indicated the other day that taking tests and using watches and all that other stuff, some individuals using phones the other day without doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if we're going to deal with these issues, we're going to start dealing with all of them now. So if you guys want to be here, that's fine. If you don't, we're going to make a policy that we're going to have to enforce. So if you don't,
meeting the following week?
well, it can be the following week, because I'm not going to be here. So it'll just get with Kaylee and we'll set it up.
Make these announcements.
I just wanted to let you know about the May important dates. You have that in your folder. Kaylee put this together for you. It's here. The end of the school year is here, and so all those dates are there for you. Baccalaureate, 4-H awards, Jumpstart, retirement recognition banquet, scholars banquet, graduation, and then the board meeting will be May 18th, as planned. And Kaylee also has your disclosure statements.
Or due May 15th.
Yeah, mine is incorrect, Kaylee, so I'm
One,
gonna change it.
one question, what about the awards banquet at the high school? I didn't see that.
The
Where-
scholars banquet?
No, the
Nope.
awards banquet.
When, oh goodness, they do that during the day.
Yeah.
Anybody from high school, Miss Wells here? Okay, okay.
You're talking about for seniors?
Yeah.
Seniors, May 4th.
Scholarship. May 4th?
May 4th at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
I'm supposed to have my hands on it. She said it.
For the scholars banquet, where we'll recognize our scholars, just know that those tickets are $12 and you can get those from, okay, we just need to know ahead of time so that we can plan for, seating. We don't want anybody to not have a seat. Don't know yet. I'm having to go to Plan B.
You want Carl Malone?
Yes.
That'd be good.
Oh my gosh.
Really? Let me talk to him, between now and Friday. He might, it just depends on what, he's in Punta or something.
We're gonna have to get some more tables
If you
here.
won't do it,
Yeah, but I'll ask.
Alright, yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
He's real leery about that, but let me ask him.
Okay, all right.
That bid is coming, it's been running.
Then you make that motion.
To adjourn, that's not a bird, John. Hey, I'll make a motion to adjourn.